All right, so let's win financial community. Good evening. I have the pleasure tonight to introduce Danielle Shirley. She's a special guest. And this is our college preparation webinar. We're excited to talk about this here. It's a subject that we haven't pretty much hit on too much, but I'm excited as Danielle brings a wealth of knowledge and experience on this subject matter. So she's been in the personal finance space for a while now and has just some great testimonials just based on how she was able to go to college and cash flow it as well. So
Mhm.
we're just excited to have her. And without further ado, Danielle, I want to just go ahead and introduce you to Let's Win Financial Community. And the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sherwin. I must say, I am very appreciative to the Less Win financial community because it is such an honor to speak to your community. I know how much value you provide to them, and to have me as a guest speaker, I mean, I'm truly honored. So thank you guys for having me. I hope that you guys take away some really valuable tips on how to, early college plans. So we're talking about from birth to 12th grade and beyond. So that's the kind of information that we're going to be going through today. A lot of things I will address today are from my own personal experience. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so we can get started. I've prepared a little presentation for you guys, which has tons of resources on it. All right. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and minimize this. All right, now let's get started. So again, just like Sherwin said, my name is Danielle Shirley. I am a financial educator, a mom of two, a wife, and I'm just thrilled to be presenting to you guys today. So just a little housekeeping. I know that you guys do this webinar about once a month, but just a little housekeeping. I would love for you guys to take notes. That's how you're going to retain some information. And plus, I want to do questions at the end. So if you make notes of questions that you have for me, I'm happy to address them at the end. Now, my last little housekeeping tip is I know that student loan forgiveness and student loans and after college is a really hot topic, but I'm going to save that for another webinar. So I just wanted to give you guys a fair warning about that. So just to get a little bit of more information about me, I am a class of 2020 graduate. Shout out to Johnson & Wales University. That is my alma mater. I graduated in 2020 by walking down my driveway in the middle of a pandemic. I went as an adult student. And I will tell you that it took me 15 years to get a 4-year degree. I will say that again. It took me 15 years to get a 4-year degree. And it's not about where you start. It is about how you choose to finish. Let me explain. So when I started my college journey, now shout out to any other class of 2020 graduates out there. If you guys graduated last year, shout out to you. And if you're graduating this year in the middle of the pandemic again, shout out to you again. So back in 2005, that's when I started my college journey. Now, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I had no idea where my career was going. And so I kind of went to college just because all my other friends were doing that. I didn't know what I wanted to study. I just signed up for college, got in, and started to go. Now, I was a first generation college student and college graduate. So if there's anybody who's first generation out there, that was me. I was DIYing the whole college process. Pretty clueless, but being first generation, you're the first to try it out. You're the first to, make these strides. And I think that's really where you're influencing future generations, is by being the first to try something. So at that point in my life, I had no goals, I had no direction. And I basically flunked my way out of my first college experience. I stopped going to class, didn't care so much. And let me tell you, failing college is very expensive. So I racked up, without a degree, over $40,000 of student loan debt. Shocking. So imagine carrying $40,000 of student loan debt for a degree that I did not finish. So I decided, okay, I'm going to shake it off. I'm going to take some time, refocus, and think about my goals. 1 year turned into 2 years, 2 years turned into 5 years. Life happens. And so I had 2 kids and a husband later, and I decided, you know what? I am not going to let this degree go unfinished. I tackled that student loan debt through hard work and grit and the grind through working. And I decided back in 2018, as an adult, as a wife, as an employee, as a mom of 2, that I was going to finish my degree. And I did so in 2 years. Now, this part is really important because I remembered how painful that student loan debt was before, and I vowed to myself to never do that again. So I cash flowed my college from 2018 to 2020, and I graduated with honors. I graduated magna cum laude. And that, to have my daughter, 13 years old, watch her mom throw her cap up in the air, was priceless to me. So I know, being a first generation college student, I'm impacting her. And like I said, it is not where you start, it is where you choose to finish. And you can go to college debt free. And this experience has taught me that I need to be a mentor to others to show them exactly how I did it. So I'm here to talk to you guys today. If you're parents, if you are grandparents, if you are aunts, uncles, nieces, you know, whatever your role is right now, you can impact the next generation of scholars to go to college and to not have to carry debt. It truly is a debt sentence. So I'm excited to show you guys exactly how I did it. Now, what we're going to be going over in this workshop, this is a little agenda of what we will be covering. So we will tackle practical steps for each age group, starting from birth to 12th grade. We will talk about how to find scholarships and grants, how to pick the right college for your child, how to graduate high school with college credits, which is a huge cash savings, how to work while in school, because there are some strategies tagged along to that. And we're going to talk a little bit about employer tuition contribution. So let's go ahead with this. Full disclaimer, I am fully aware that college is not for everyone. And I am of the belief that you have to have open and honest conversations with your kids early to find out what they truly desire. It would be such a disservice for me to force my children to go to a college, spend $60,000 on that college education when she told me from the beginning that wasn't her plan. You know, I know many mechanics who go to trade schools, who work on a specific skill, who don't necessarily need college, and they become wildly successful. I know makeup artists who work for Disney and work for, superstars and make a great living and are happy doing that. So disclaimer, I know that college is not for everyone, but I know if you're listening here, you want to learn how to go to college debt-free and find those scholarships and grants. Now, disclaimer number 2 is gap years may be good for some. Now, what a gap year is basically taking a break when you graduate high school before you enter college. Some people take 1 year off, which they use to travel or to work to afford college. So gap years are for some because, let's be honest, 1 gap year may turn into 2, may turn into 5, may turn into 20, and so on. And my last disclaimer is a degree does not guarantee a great paying job. I think that goes without needing any explanation, but a degree does not guarantee a great paying job. It is about the value that you can provide to whatever job, business, entrepreneurship that you are in. The value that you can articulate is what you're going to be paid for. All right, so the student loan crisis is a crisis. I don't need to, I don't need to convince you guys that the student loan problem is a problem. It is truly a debt sentence. And right now we're almost topping $1.6 trillion in outstanding student loan debt in the US today. This is mind-boggling. $1.6 trillion in student loan debt in the US today. You don't need a loan to be a student. I will repeat that. You do not need a student loan to be a student. And so I'm going to give you guys some practical ways that you can implement even tonight. You can implement these tomorrow. You can get on the ball with these, because I have resources that I'm sure Sherwin will email out to the community that talk about every single thing I will talk about tonight. You guys will have the exact link where you can go and access these resources that I'm going to describe today. So, all right, so when do I start? Okay, I would say start before the baby is born. Okay, if you are a parent or an expecting parent, or you just got married, or whatever the case may be, and you know that you want to have kids someday, start before the baby is born. Start planning, start saving. You know that college is coming because they're going to be 18 and they're going to graduate high school. So what you're going to do from infancy to about 5th grade, so these are the young formative years. These are elementary school. You want to give them age appropriate lessons. You want to engage them in the money conversation so that they start to understand. Teach them about how to be a good student. At this age, they're still young, they're still fun, they're still excited about life. Now, you as the parent, you at this stage, this is the great part, great timing to open a 529 college savings plan. Now, I understand that Sherwin talks to you guys extensively about investment accounts, 529 plans, IRAs, UTMAs, UGMAs, all of those wonderful investment tools that you can use for your kids. However, I want to highlight this here because this is the perfect time to start with that. When the kid is young, at birth, you can start right away, okay? So I want to highlight some things about the 529 plan, and then definitely get with Sherwin if you need more information on how to get started, how to even plan for these 529s. So basically what it is, it's a college savings investment plan. There's certain tax advantages to opening up this account. The investments grow tax-free, and you can withdraw with, qualifying educational expenses. You can withdraw from the account, after the money grows tax-free in the account, you can withdraw for qualifying educational expenses. Now, these educational expenses could be elementary, kindergarten, high school, or college. All right, so middle school age. Now, this age is near and dear to my heart because my daughter is in middle school. She's actually in 8th grade, getting ready to go to high school. So I'm telling you, everything that we're talking about today, I'm currently going through with my daughter. So at this age, they're more independent. They understand more concepts about money. And so keep that conversation open with them. Let them get involved in savings. Let them get involved in bill paying. Let them understand that college is not free. We have to find a way to pay for it, because that gives it a little bit of a different level to it. Sometimes when we're going to public schools, we know that mommy and daddy don't have to pay for public school, but then to get their mind to switch gears, that higher education requires something different from me financially and different from me as far as education. It helps them to conceptualize things. So at this point, you can even start talking to them about what they think about college. Like, what do you think about college? What do you think about a potential career? Volunteering in clubs is a good way for them to see those things, to see what they're good at and what they like. Now, if this is available for you, this is very important. You can start having your middle school child take high school classes. Starting in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they can start taking high school classes. Now, this is just going to take some conversation with the school to see if your child is eligible to take those classes. I know that at the school my daughter goes to, she goes to an IB school. And so they really do push that on the kids. And I know, no matter where you are in the country listening to this right now, if you are in a magnet school, an IB school, a public school, private school, they all have similar programs to help kids get ahead. This is going to be a huge tip, especially during those formative middle school years, to get them in the right place that they need to be for high school. It's just going to elevate them that much more. Now, there's another important tip about middle school that I really want to highlight. Okay. You need to schedule a meeting with Sherwin or Leswin Financial. to discuss your assets during this time, when your child is in 6th through 8th grade. And here's why. 6th through 8th grade is just the right amount of time before you're going to start applying for FAFSA and for federal aid. So if you have something going on with your assets, you need to know how they're going to impact that application later on down the line. So your EFC is your expected family contribution. So that's how much the government or the schools are expecting you to come out of pocket for education. So here's a perfect example about what I mean about your assets affecting how much you can be granted. Let's say you have, I don't know, $200,000 worth of credit card debt, car loans, a whole bunch of stuff, okay? And you have, for whatever reason, $100,000 sitting in a savings account, okay? Financial aid is going to see that you have $100,000 cash. They're not going to see your debt. They're not going to see your payments. They're not going to see any of that. So in their minds, you have enough money to pay for college. That's going to impact the amount of grants, the amount of scholarships, the amount of need-based grants that you're going to get. So if your assets need to be, your finances need to be adjusted, now is the time to do it, because FAFSA looks at your records, your income and your assets 2 years prior. So you don't want to wait until your student is a high school senior in order to get your finances together, because it's going to be too late. All right. So high school is when it's on and popping. It's like ready to go. High school is where we really can implement a lot of things. Okay. So that was all getting prepped, 529, getting your assets in order, getting your income in order, getting all that stuff together. Now is when you and your student are going to put in the hard work. I want you to start off freshman year, meeting with your school counselor. Again, don't wait until your student is in 11th or 12th grade to have that sit down meeting. And here's why. The more time you have to save, the more time you have to prepare, the better it's going to be. You're not rushing last minute to figure out, oh, what club can my student get in? What honor society do they qualify? What scholarships do they qualify for? When they could be working on it from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Now, it's important for your student to build a resume. It's going to make it easier when you're applying for scholarships. If you have a resume kind of like, this is their job. I mean, technically, this is their job. If they're not working outside of the home, doing their work, doing their schoolwork, doing their scholarship applications is their job, their volunteering work and all of that. So build a resume so that you don't forget, oh, that one summer that I volunteered in a garden somewhere, and then you automatically forget about it. But keep a resume so that you have record of that. Now, here's the timeline of events where I want you to keep most of your focus. Okay, 9th grade, it's a brand new, it is a brand new experience for you. You want to focus on your GPA. You want to focus on getting as good of grade as possible. GPA is your grade point average for your grades. 10th grade, we're looking at AP classes, which stands for advanced placement. If you're not familiar with advanced placement courses, here's where that middle school prep comes into play. Advanced placement courses are college equivalent courses or advanced courses that you can take in high school. At the end of the year, you have to take an AP test and pass it, and then you will be granted college credit for that class while in high school. Now, I have seen many people take AP classes starting in the 10th grade, 10th, 11th, and 12th. That is a huge savings for college, because even if you knock out one class, at some universities, one class cost $1,000. So that is a huge savings for you guys. So 10th grade, we're working on our GPA, we're working on the AP classes and extracurricular activities. Now, in the 11th grade year, I want the students to focus on that SAT and ACT. So those are the college entrance exams. Now, the reason why I put it here in the 11th grade year is because most people take it in the 12th grade, but if you take it in the 11th grade, you have a leg up on all the other applicants. You can apply early to college, which will help your chances of getting into the college that you want to go to. And also you can start applying for loans and grants, not loans, for scholarships and grants early so that you have a better chance of actually winning those. Now, 12th grade, you're going to be working on your college applications, doing the tours, being a college kid, being a senior, enjoying life, going to football games. Hopefully the world is back open by that point. But that's what you're going to be doing 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. Now, disclaimer, every single year, I want you to work on college scholarship applications, and I'm going to show you where to find them, okay? But every single year, so that we're not cramming in 11th and 12th and stressing out about all of these things. Write some essays and then duplicate them. Don't reinvent the wheel. We're going to talk about the essays in a second. Now, some important things to focus on. We already talked about GPA, Honor Society. We're going to talk about dual enrollment next. All right, so I'm not sure if everyone watching this is from Miami, but they may have similar programs wherever you live and wherever you decide to go to school. But here in Miami-Dade College has a program called dual enrollment. Now, you have to really sit down and assess this with your student and decide, are they ready for a commitment like this? It is very advanced. Your child has to be in pretty advanced classes and making really good grades. You don't want their grades to suffer just because you're pushing them to graduate early or whatnot. So what this is a dual enrollment program, and it's through the School of Advanced Studies. Let me tell you why it's so amazing. The students get to finish their last 2 years of high school while starting their first 2 years of college, 100% tuition free. Now I'll say that again. They're finishing their 11th and 12th grade year of high school at Miami-Dade, taking college classes, their first 2 years of college classes, and it was 100% tuition free. So they can finish that SAS program and go on to UF, go to Howard, go to anywhere they want to go after that, because they've already satisfied their associate's degree, and that is dual enrollment. I get excited when anything says free. I don't know about you, but to satisfy 2 years of college credit is exciting. Now, let's say they don't want to do any of that. Here is another option where you can start earning college credit while in high school. So just to recap a little bit, we have AP courses, we have dual enrollment, and now this third option here is called CLEP. Now, what CLEP is, it's exciting. It's administered by the College Board, and there's over 2,900 colleges accept CLEP right now. So just make sure that the college that you want to go to accepts this exam, because if you can do CLEP, I mean, these are really great ways to kind of excel and to advance yourself to earning college credits while you're in high school. So what CLEP is, it's a test. There's 33 different subjects at this moment where you can take a test. Cost $89 to take the test, or roughly, it changes every year, but around $89 to take the test. If you pass the test, you earn the college credit for that class. So your subjects, like, they're your basic core subjects. So subjects like English, basic math, sciences, social studies, foreign languages. There's a list, and I have all these resources for you. So after this, I have all the websites that you can go on and look at what's available. But you're knocking out basic classes, you know, like when you're a college freshman and you're taking 101 everything. These are the classes that you're knocking out. So if you're taking that gap year, you can take the gap year to take like 10 tests. I mean, to me, this sounds like a very affordable way to knock out some college credits. Now, the exciting part about CLEP is there is a company, it's a non-for-profit company called Modern States. The company is called Modern States. It's here on the slide, and I'll give you the website as well. They're a non-for-profit company, and they help you with CLEP tests for free. And they also give you a fee waiver. So you can technically either pay $89 to take the CLEP exam or apply for a waiver. And if it's granted, then you take all of these classes for free. It's my favorite word again, free. All right, so FAFSA. If you went to college, then this is probably like PTSD, like the FAFSA application is not the funnest application to fill out, I'm not gonna lie, but you have to fill it out every single year. Why do you need to fill it out? FAFSA stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. Now, it's required, even if you are self-paying for college, even if you have a 529 set up, and it's just required every single year by your colleges to know if you get merit-based scholarships, if you have need-based grants. You go to this website, it walks you through the process. It is a lengthy process. So you and your child need to do it together to make sure that it's accurate and to make sure that you get through the process. Now, what you will need to process your FAFSA application. You're going to start in the senior year of high school to process your FAFSA application. Now, the application opens every October 1st for the following year. So let's say, for example, your student is going to college next year, 2022, right? Yeah, 2022. That means you can start filling out your FAFSA October of this year. So 2021, you can start filling out your FAFSA for them to go to college next fall. Now, what you will need to start with the FAFSA. So they date it back 2 years prior. They need your tax information for 2 years prior. So if you're filling it out in 2021, you're going to need the 2019 information. That's why I went back to tell you that if you need to get your income in order, if you need to get your assets, reevaluated and wondering, okay, are the assets from the parent going to be weighed heavier in FAFSA? Or are the assets of the children going to be weighed heavier in FAFSA? If you need to figure all that out, you need to do it more than 2 years prior, because what they're going to be asking you for is your taxes from 2 years prior. So you want to make sure you get that in order before you apply so that you can get the most grant money available to you. Now, what you will also need is a social security number, or if you are not a citizen, any identifying information and a record of your assets like we spoke about. The deadline for Florida is May 15th of 2021. So if you are doing this process right now, I just want to make you guys aware, this year, May 15th, I think it's normally coincides with the tax deadline since this is a federal form. And since the deadline was pushed back to May 15th this year for Florida, the FAFSA deadline is May 15th, 2021. Every year it might change. So if you're listening to this, a year from now, it may change. Now, here's an important update for COVID-19. I feel like this is an exceptional year, an exceptionally hard year for most. And if you were negatively impacted financially by COVID-19, you lost your job, your salary was cut in half or whatnot, it's really important that you contact the financial aid office or even the high school counselor to let them understand your current financial situation. And here's why. The taxes you filed in 2019 could show that you made, I don't know, $200,000 that year. Okay. But then the very next year, you could have made $40,000. Well, that's a significant drop in income. You don't want FAFSA to think that you are a high earner when in fact your salary, one person in your family got laid off and the other person's salary got slashed in half. You want them to get the whole picture of your current financial situation to see how much you can qualify for. So if that is you, if you're in that position, definitely reach out to the college, the financial aid office at the college that you're planning to go to. Okay. So going back to FAFSA, these are the reasons why they need you to fill it out. So they can give you either need-based, so that means your income is low and you need, the money for it, or they can give you merit-based. Now you can qualify for grants, which is free money that you do not have to pay back, or you can qualify for scholarships. Now, these are really important to understand. Grants and scholarships have special requirements. They don't need to be paid back, but you need to follow some of the rules. Here's an example. Some of the grants make you take full-time course load. So if you drop below full-time, then they're going to reduce your grant money or take it away. That's just an example. There's also GPA requirements on them as well. So if you're going to school with all this grant money, but then you're getting C's, D's, and F's. That's kind of what I was talking about in the beginning, where failing college gets expensive. Okay, they want their grant money back. They will not let you keep that grant money. You need to follow the requirements. Now, when you fill out this FAFSA, they're going to show you your grants that you get awarded for. They're going to show you the scholarships you get awarded for, and they're also going to show you the loans that you qualify for. Let me tell you, click decline. Click decline. You do not need to take them. Just because they are on your profile and you're going to see them, your eyes are going to get really big and you're going to say, oh my God, I qualify for all of this loans. You do not have to take them. They're just showing you what's available. Federal student loans, of course. Lovely, but you do not have to take them. You can click decline. All right, so like I said before, I have a list of scholarships and grants and all of the resources that I've talked about today, CLEP, dual enrollment, every single thing I spoke about today. I have that list that Sherwin's going to email out to the community. So don't worry if you don't catch quite the names of these things or the websites, but here's my first scholarship website that I love. Now, I'm not sponsored by Scholly. I just used this when I was cash flowing my college and it helped me a ton. Now, granted, I am an adult learner. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. And so this was a game changer for me. And so I want to pass it on to you if you like it. Disclaimer, it is $35 per year. This service is $35 per year. The reason why I love it is because it took a lot of the work out of finding scholarships. It took it out of the way for me. It allowed me to really hone in on my essay skills and getting to write really good essays without having to dig through, do I qualify for this scholarship? Do I qualify for that? It can be exhausting. There's lists of hundreds of thousands of scholarships, hundreds of thousands of due dates, and it becomes a job. Scholarship applications become a job. So Scholly really took a lot of that legwork out for me. It is very user-friendly. You can use it on the computer or on your iPhone app or any type of phone you have. And it organizes things. It asks you questions and finds out what your interests are. And they customize scholarships just for you. And they make it really easy for you to apply. Now, if you do not want to pay $35 a year, trust me, you do not have to. There are tons of free scholarship resources, which I provide for you as well. Totally 100% free. All right, so free scholarships and grants. There are over $100 million in scholarship money out there for you to grab. These are some of my top websites that I recommend. GoCollege.com, FastWeb.com, scholarships.com. They are free resources. And in the event that, there may be a free trial with Scholly that you can tap into and see if you like that better. I really love these resources. And there's some of the ones that I use to find grant money. My favorite out of all of these is gocollege.com. It comes with a really cool blog where you can read information about what's going on, where you can decide what is the best fit for you. They even have technical and vocational scholarships and grants where you can apply for. It has a lot of services for you. All right. Now, specialty scholarships. If you are a minority, you can qualify for scholarships. If you have a unique field of study, so if you want to be a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, a mathematician, you can have specific scholarships geared towards that. If you are in poverty or have gone through some adversity, they want to know about that. That is actually one of the top essay requests that they want to know about that stuff. They want to know, have you gone from some type of adverse situation and, gotten through poverty and they're now the first generation college student, or have gone through some type of traumatic life experience, like you've lost your legs in a car accident and you're still excelling anyways. If you have some of those stories, it's not really, trying to milk a system or anything like that, but they want to know. They want to know what type of perseverance you truly have. Now, here's a major key. When you are in high school, I want you to spend a lot of time, or you have your kids spend a lot of time on the weekends writing and looking for these college scholarships and writing essays. Now, here's a tip. Here's what I did. I developed the skill to be a good writer. I did not start out as a good writer, but what I did was I created 4 templates. Okay. And I used the most common scholarship questions I could find. And I made 4 templates out of them. Now, here's what I did. The first one was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? That's like one of the most common questions. And I made an essay out of that. I proofread it. I had my cousin proofread it. I had somebody look over it, and it was a solid essay. Guess what? Whenever I got that question, I would send that same essay. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to keep some solid templates and just throw them up in the air and see what comes back. Now, the next one would be like, are you a minority, or how do you feel like your minority status impacts the community, or something around those lines? Okay, you can come up with a solid essay for that. Next would be, how do you feel like your career would impact the world? That's another essay that you can write about that. Also, sometimes they take your high school essays. Let's say you get straight A's in English. Sometimes they take some of your great high school writing, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think that the less legwork we have to do in this aspect, the better. All right, so some things that we don't necessarily always think about are private scholarship ideas, like through your credit union, law firm, hospital, church, Girl Scouts, companies that you volunteer with. Thinking outside of the box may be a good way in order to get private funding. All right. So how do you pick the right college? Now, how do you pick the right HBCU? Actually, no, I'm just kidding. I always take the opportunity to represent HBCUs, historical Black colleges and universities. Today, I'm representing Howard on my shirt, but I do firmly believe in the value that they represent for our community, the work that they do in our community, and how they really provide and enrich our community as far as further education. So picking the right college depends on a lot of different things, not just, is it an HBCU or is it a community college? But in fact, is it in-state or out-of-state? That's going to greatly impact the cost of it. In-state tuition is a lot less. Out-of-state tuition is almost double. Is it a public or is it a private university? Public universities are a lot less. Private universities are a lot more. And I will say, private universities have a different system to calculate your financial need. So if FAFSA gives you grant and scholarship money for a public university and the private university does not, based on your same information, that means that they calculate different parts of your financial situation in a different way. So private universities have the ability to do that. They have the ability to look at a bigger financial picture, such as the equity in your home, such as other businesses that you own, whereas your FAFSA won't necessarily look at those things, but private universities are able to calculate those things in a different way. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, not deterring you guys from going out of state to a private school, but you need to be financially prepared for that. Now, whether you can live at home or with roommates is a really great way to decide, like, is this the right opportunity for me to live at home, to live with roommates, to be saving a lot of money on room and board? Now, is your major a profitable major? And also considering community college. People hate it when I say community college. They really do. Community colleges get such a bad rap. But, I'm a firm believer. Of course, hindsight is 2020, and I couldn't imagine what my 18-year-old self would be saying at this point. But if you can knock out 2 years at community college just to save you, I don't know, $20,000, it may be worth it. When you're graduating, if you do transfer from a community college to another college, when your child graduates, it will have the name of the college that they went to last. So if I do 2 years at Miami-Dade College and then I transfer to UF, my degree will have the name UF on it. Now, did you guys know that you can get an Ivy League degree for free? What? I know, I was surprised when I heard that too. Stanford has a program, and many Ivy League programs have the same thing. If you make less than $150,000 annually, so I'm talking about the parents, not the student. If the parents make $150,000 or less annually, the Stanford student will qualify for free tuition. That blew my mind. If the family makes less than 60,000, I think it's 60 or 65. You're going to have to look at the website. If the family makes less than $60,000 a year, you will qualify for free tuition and free room and board. Now, a lot of these that I've listed here, Harvard, Penn, Columbia, Stanford, Cornell, Brown, Princeton, they offer the same program. However, the numbers might be a little bit different. So for example, Yale's numbers, instead of 150,000, may be 60 or 65,000. They each have their own requirements. And here's why: the average student that goes there, their parents' income is just astronomical. So if your family makes $150,000 annually or less, then you're considered low income in comparison to the student body there. Here's the caveat to that: your student has to get into an Ivy League school in order to qualify for the free tuition. So if this is something that I really want to harp on this point, you guys, because for me, I never believed that I was smart enough. I never believed I was capable. I was the first person in my family to go to college and to graduate college, even if it took me 15 years scraping on my knees and elbows, like digging through the dirt and the mud. I did it. And if I would have known that Ivy League colleges are available to me, I may have tried to shoot my shot, shoot for the moon. And I want little girls and little boys, little brown girls, little brown boys, anybody to know that if you study hard, you get good grades, you get your ACT, SATs in line, and these schools are on your radar that you want, these are your dream schools that you want to go to, don't let finances get in the way of shooting for these phenomenal schools if that's truly what you want to do. Because I thought to myself, my mom doesn't make any money. Back when I was younger, my mom did not make a lot of money at all. We would have qualified for every free grant, every resource there is under the sun. And so I know I would have qualified for something like this. So I don't want the student to think, oh, well, these schools are so expensive. Only rich kids go to these schools. I can't have this type of education. I don't want you to think about that. I want you to try. And if you get good grades and you have the means to do it, I think it's a great option. It's not something that's widely known. All right. So working while in school, I feel like that was like a soapbox moment. Like that was my little rant. So working while in school, I certainly did it. Didn't kill me. I think that you and your students can work out a plan that they can actually work while in school to cut down some of their tuition costs. I mean, let's be real. Let's say you never took a CLEP test. Let's say you didn't get a single scholarship. Well, here's some things that you can do to cut your cost of your education. It requires a lot of discipline, because I know when I was younger, I would work and make money and spend it all. Here, you're going to work, make money, and put it towards your college tuition. Fun. So some of the things that you can do for working while in school is tutoring. You can do it on campus so that you can stay focused on your studies. You can do work study. So part of the FAFSA application, the college will offer you a work study program. Now, there are requirements. They'll tell you what type of program that you can work in, and they will offer you a work study. So it's basically to work on campus in exchange for compensation. Now, they're either going to give it to you in some type of form of scholarship or whatever agreement you have. This is my favorite one, and it's the resident advisor. If you can be a resident advisor in a dorm room, so that means you basically, there's a whole job description for it. You look out for emergencies, you counsel people in the dorm rooms. The college will pay for your room and board for your service as a resident advisor. So there's a whole bunch of ways where you can get some tuition knocked off, some room and board knocked off. You can also do outside work. So you can do temp work, work from home, gigs such as becoming a blogger. People actually still do blog and you can monetize your blogs. I like that idea because it helps to develop you as a good writer. I keep circling back to being a good writer, but it is really important, especially if you're going to be, for example, a teacher or a lawyer or a professor or an author. You do need some good writing skills. Fiverr has some really good gigs. So let's say you're in college and you just finished going through your application process. On Fiverr, there is a whole niche of people who help other people apply to colleges. So they'll help them proofread their college essay. They'll help them proofread their resume. They'll help them, find resources and do all those different things. So when your student has just gone through that exact same thing, they can help other people do that as well. Now, this is a list. I was shocked. No, sorry, let me go back. Okay, I was shocked with how many companies are on this list, to be honest with you. These are companies that offer employer tuition assistance. Now, we're talking about Publix, Starbucks, AT&T, Bank of America, Chipotle, Lowe's, Chick-fil-A. I mean, you can see Walmart, Target. You can see the list goes on and on. Now, they either offer assistance with your tuition, they offer tuition reimbursement, some type of agreement, and each company, since these are public companies, they have their own requirements on their employee agreement in order to give you money for college. So let's say, for example, Walmart. I don't have the stats in front of me, but this is just a hypothetical example. Let's say they give tuition assistance to people who work either part-time or full-time. Let's say your tenure has to be working for them at least 6 months, and you have to provide them receipts that you paid for your semester and passed your class. Then they will give you, I don't know, let's say $2,000 per year. They all have some type of program where, like, for example, Starbucks, they have a tuition assistance program, but you have to go to a particular university online. So they all have different, quirks about them. But I mean, how can you not pass up on these opportunities? Most people go to these types of companies to get work while they're in college. So if you, research this in advance and target these employers for those types of benefits, it truly is an amazing opportunity. Side note, for parents who are listening to this, if you are interested in graduate studies, or even going to college yourself, getting your bachelor's, getting your master's, you can look into this as well for yourself. So I think this is a great opportunity for you and for your children. Now, I want to end on this note. This is really important for me. They're off to college, and it's bittersweet. You've gone through this whole journey, preparing them along the way from birth to, now you're going to be an empty nester. They're off to college and they're on their own. They're making their own financial decisions. They can apply for loans if they want to. They can apply for credit cards if they want to. Now, the important thing is that college campuses are notorious for being, I don't want to say the college campus is a predator, but there are fairs where they really try to lure in college kids with this type of credit card application, and I'll give you a free, I don't know, tickets to a free ball game, or, they make some type of game out of really attacking these young college students with taking on debt. And that's a conversation for you to have with your child about how comfortable you are with them having credit cards. But I just want you to prepare them that that is going to be the reality. They can register for credit cards on their own. And if they're doing all this work to get scholarships, to get grants, to do all of this, just to find out that they are going to college and possibly misusing their grant money. Because once their grant money is paid off for their tuition, they often get a refund. of any excess grant money that they may have. So if they're misusing that grant money to party or to do some things and not paying for their books or not paying for a new laptop or whatnot, it will get you in trouble later on down the line. What I always recommend, if you guys are getting a refund for grants, is to save it. Completely, utterly save it. Don't put it in an investment. Don't put it in anything. Just put it in a very boring savings account. Here's why. Let's say the next semester you lose your grant money, like you lose your qualification to get grants. You have some cushion there from your previous semester, because the more you earn, you have to fill out your FAFSA every single year. So they're recalculating how much grant money you're going to get every single year. So if one year you have an excess, save it. Make sure you're graduating debt free, because let's say your junior and senior year, and this is exactly what happened to me. My 2018 year, I think I qualified for some type of scholarship from the school. But then the next year I made more money and I didn't qualify for anything. So I had to apply for my essays, my scholarships on my own, and I also had to cash flow from my job. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. And last but not least, I know I talked about this a couple of times, but failing classes is really, really expensive, guys. Now, not only do you have to retake the class, you have to repay for the class, but you're extending the time that you're in college. Also, if your GPA drops too low, any scholarships that you're earning can get cut off. Any grants that you're earning can get cut off. And if they're federal, like I said, they want their money back. So this is what I have for you guys today. I hope that, you took some value into what I had prepared for you guys. And like I said, I have a list of all the resources that I've discussed today during this conversation. And I know it's a lot. I know sometimes I talk a little bit fast, but hopefully these are some things you can implement starting tonight, starting tomorrow. You can hit the ground running and starting your early college planning. And I just want to leave you with some ways that you can keep in touch with me and let me know how you guys are doing on your college journey or getting your kids ready for college. I'm mostly on Instagram, so I'm on Danielle Invest. That's my name. You can email me any questions you have at support@danielleshirley.com. And of course, my website is danielleshirley.com. But I also encourage you, Sherwin is an amazing resource for you guys, so you can bounce questions off of him as well. But I really thank you guys for the time, and I look forward to any questions. Now, I will do my best to answer any questions you guys have about early college planning. Anything that was unclear during this, this conversation. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
So Danielle, I do want to thank you for this valuable information that you provided tonight. I learned a lot. It was just the clip was very great. I think we had that while I was in the military, but it just pretty much just jogged back up my memory again as far as all the details that came with it. So I want to invite the Let's Win financial community. The floor is open. Let me just say here, we do have one question here in the chat, but you're free to also to unrelease your mics and to ask a question as well. But I want to get the first question here addressed in the chat. It says, can a graduate student, master's and higher, use FAFSA?
Yes, great question. And actually you're required to fill out a FAFSA every single year. Now, FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. You have to fill it out no matter what, no matter if you're going to graduate, master's, doctorate, PhD, law, whatever. And basically it calculates how much your expected family contribution to college is. So what they do is they take the schools that you put on your application. They say, let's say Harvard, 100,000, right? Then they calculate how much they have this algorithm that they come up with. They take your income and your assets and all of these things. And they say, okay, I expect that, they minus that. And then your total number is how much you expect the family to contribute to paying for college. If it's zero, if you expect the family to contribute zero, then that's when they're throwing you grant money and scholarships and whatnot. So There are some things you don't get in master's programs. For example, like income-based grants like the Pell Grant are not available to anything higher than a 4-year degree, but you still have to fill out your FAFSA. Yes, great question.
Awesome. Awesome. Great question. Great answer as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the CLEP. And when I was going through this presentation, it also reminded me of how I felt when I was a student going through this process. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that. So anyone who's on this call or this meeting, if some of these things triggered your memory to say, oh yeah, I remember those things, but from a parent's perspective, it's a lot different. So I want you to re-jog your memory and use these resources that I've given you. And I'll also share the presentation with Sherwin so that you guys can follow along on the steps. When you're a student, you're thinking about it differently. When you're a parent, you need to, make that step-by-step timeline.
Got you. All right, so we're going to open the floor, so you guys have at it and ask the questions here for Danielle. Danielle, there's one of the questions that I have is a lot of people here from Florida. So Florida has the Florida prepaid and also to the 529 savings plan. So we know with our Florida prepaid, that's generally 120 hours. That's pretty much paid for. But when we go in, we'll look at the 529 called a savings plan. That's for any qualified educational expense. Can you touch on a little bit about how the 529 works also with housing?
Housing. So that's a great question. So for 529 plans, we're going to talk a little bit about what you can and what you cannot use 529s for. Now, you can use 529 funds for qualified educational expenses. So we're talking about if you want to go to a private elementary school, you can use it for there. If you want to go to a private middle school or high school, you can use it for that. You can use it for computers. You can use it for textbooks. You can use it for any qualified educational expense. So I would have to look in a little deeper to see if housing, I didn't do that research, but I would look in to see if housing is one of those qualified educational expenses. That's a good question that I would definitely have to circle back on.
Gotcha. And I just touch on that for 1 second. One thing what they can do is go to the financial aid office. So how much ever it costs to actually live on campus, the financial aid office will actually grant them the same amount of dollars as far as how you're able to use that 529 for housing for off campus. So let's say, for instance, if it costs $5,000 for the year to stay on campus, that prospective parent would have $5,000 that they can withdraw from that 529 college savings plan for off campus housing as well. So
great.
Yeah. All right. So guys, want to open it up here. This has been some great information that Danielle has shared with us. I'm empowered and enlightened from this information. So does anyone have any further questions here? Danielle, I thought it was very good.
Thank you.
Ivy League, as far as going to the school for free, that was very good information here. Let me see here. We have another question. I just want to thank Danielle for giving a shout out to the community colleges. I think that's less emphasis is being placed on where you got your degree. A lot of careers just want a degree. That is so right because
Yeah.
when we apply for these jobs, they basically asking for you to have a bachelor's degree, maybe an associate's degree. They don't care where it's from. They don't care if you
Exactly.
graduated with 4.0 degree. And I'll be honest with you, these days, it's not necessarily about our society is changing. It's for
Yes.
degree wise. If you can get on the entrepreneur side of the house, there's really no reason to go to college. But I'm not going to step in that because that's a whole nother night.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. And I actually mentor a kid who who just got into the dual enrollment program that I talked about, and who he said he's only doing it because his parents want him to go to college, that he wants to be an entrepreneur. And I said, listen, don't make me divide your house like that. I do not want to get into any problems. But seriously, so here's a little story. I work in the legal industry, and I've worked in the legal industry for a very long time. And it saddens me that there is this type of, in the air, that a lot of law firms love to see the big names on the resume. They love to see the Harvards. They love to see the University of Pennsylvania's, the Cornells, the Stanfords, and stuff like that. Even UF, even UM. Those are the type of schools that they love to see on the resumes, and they put so much emphasis on you getting those degrees from those schools. So that's why I say, like, if you can knock out at least 2 years at a community college and you feel like you may need to go on to another college, I think you're going to get a fantastic education at a community college for a fraction of the cost. But
Yeah. Danielle, I shared on Instagram a little bit earlier today, as far as how parents um, lack the actual financial knowledge as far as
mhm,
what you provided tonight. And there's a big wealth gap. When we
mhm,
looked at it here, we listened with Fox shared the wealth gap between the different cultures, or the demographics between the different white, black, for instance, right? And that big difference is because we start out by going in student loans.
mhm,
And we get in student loans where we owe $60,000. We get in credit card debt of $40,000. That's $100,000 automatically,
mhm.
where you're behind. And so I think this information tonight can really help parents, families, to understand that there are resources out here available that we can take advantage of, to where we don't necessarily have to start at home plate, where we can
Right.
start at second base, where we can start at third base, and being able to put our kids, ahead in their adult life. Uh,
Right.
so I want to make sure. Does anybody else have any final questions before we close out tonight?
Yeah, I wanted to say one more thing before we close out too. And if you guys have any other questions, please, I'm happy to answer them as well. But you know, it affects our community so hard because our parents are trying to do the best that they can with the knowledge that they have, but sometimes it's just not enough. So people like Sherwin, people like Leswin Financial, bringing the tools and resources to excel financially. And sometimes we think, okay, as the parent of a child going to college, I have student loan debt. What do I do to help my own kid? Sometimes that is the scenario. And I will say, I didn't touch on this in the presentation, but this is actually a really good point. I will say you need to allocate your funds to taking care of your student loans and helping your kids get these scholarships and grants, because you cannot throw all of your money to your kids' college. You can't take out a loan in retirement. You can't take out a loan to retire, right? So you make sure that you're getting with Sherwin and making sure your retirement, your assets, your income, everything is in line, because you can fill out, scholarship applications till your hands fall off. But it's important to make sure that you're following your goals as well.
Great, great, great information. Great information. All right, guys. So I just want to make sure I check the Facebook group. I didn't see any questions out there. Just one final time before we have Danielle leave us tonight. And Danielle, I'll just say this here. Let's Win Financial Community. Thank you again. And we look forward to having you back on, Danielle, as well, averse not only just in college prep, but all anything personal finance related. So uh, we look forward to having you back for more financial informational webinars in itself. So thank you again. And
Thank you.
Let's Win Financial Community, for the ones that logged into the Zoom call tonight. Thank you for joining in. This is a recorded session, so we will ensure that this goes back out to you. And with that, I'll tell you guys to have a great weekend. And as always, let's continue to win. Danielle, I'll shoot you an email, okay?
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.